Hello, friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. All right, it's the first day back to work in the new week. I told you last week that I expected that we were going to be shut down for a few days while they do some maintenance, but I wasn't sure when exactly it was going to start. Well, it looks like I have to go back again tomorrow anyway at normal time because while a lot of the departments in the company have finished up all of their work, we still have a little bit of catching up to do. So that's good. I'm going to go in and continue learning to operate this packaging line or this final processing line that I've been working on. And actually, I was in a couple of different lines today. We have multiple lines running kind of different or similar products. And I was on one line on Friday or on Saturday, and I was actually on two other lines today. The first one we kind of finished up about an hour after I got there, so I switched to another line that was still kind of finishing off their product, and turned out I was actually able to help them quite a bit in there. In fact, at one point, somebody from another line actually said, "Hey, can you send somebody in here? I gotta just go out and do a bathroom break for a few minutes." And they sent me in there, and I was able to run the machine pretty well just by myself. Didn't have any down production, didn't have any lost stuff. I just kept the machine going for probably 10 minutes or so while she went out, did her business, and came back. The training was a little bit more detailed today. It wasn't just this is what, see what you can see and see what you can figure out. Actually, you had to do some of the preparation for transferring from one product to another. And there's a very elaborate process for that. Also, when you're dealing with machines that have automatic manufacturing stuff where there's robots moving in and around and doing everything, there's all sorts of safety things that can go wrong. And when you have moving parts, there's always the possibility that something can get tangled up or something isn't in exactly the right position for the robot to pick it up, and that kind of screws up the process, can shut everything down. So they kind of gave me a little bit of a primer today on what to do about that. If something's jammed up in there, how to advance the machine one cycle to maybe get everything cleared out, how to stop things, how to deal with the fact that whenever you have a machine that has lots of moving parts inside, in order to keep things safe, they have to keep doors all around the machine to keep people from putting their hands or heads or bodies or anything in the way where they could get hurt. And in order to prevent any kinds of injuries like that, what they'll do is if you open up a door while the machine is running, the machine will stop. And so, I had to learn a little bit of the process of, if the machine does stop because somebody opened the door, here's how you clear it. You got to get the doors closed, you got to clear the air, you got to go check everything to make sure everything's back in position, because if the machine is in the process of grabbing something and moving it to another place, and the door opens right in the middle of that process, and the robot has something in its gripper and it's in the middle of moving it from one position to another, you got to get everything cleared and back to a home position before you can start running again, or else everything gets really gummed up. So I spent a lot of time working on that today, and I probably spent 3/4 of the day. I was probably there until mid-afternoon working on the line today, and so that was interesting. All right, sorry about that. I had a battery go dead on me in the middle of a sentence there, so let's back up a little bit. I spent a little bit of time today after about the midway through the afternoon. I actually moved into the computer lab and spent some time just reading SOPs. I still got a lot of those to do. As I mentioned, I've got 100 plus that I have to go through, and so it's just going to be a matter of plowing through them. Now, fortunately, there's a lot of them that aren't due from me, until June or July or something later in the year. So I got time to deal with those. I'm just kind of trying to deal with the ones that are due like in this week. And unfortunately, there's a lot of them that are in that category. But I did talk to my boss today about it, and he says, yeah, we understand there's a lot of them and you can't always get to them real quick. So send me a list of the ones that you're not going to be able to get done, and I'll just push the due date out a little bit. So I did that right before I left today, and really what I did is I just went and looked at all these SOPs that I had to read. I sorted them by due date, and I just started plowing through the ones that are due on the 16th. So as I mentioned before also, some of these documents are really, really long, 40, 50, 70 pages long, but I kind of hit a little bit of a winning streak today. I found a whole bunch of them all in a row that were actually pretty short. Some of them, I think the longest one I read was 18 pages, and the shortest one was like 2 pages. And it was basically an introductory page and then like almost a PowerPoint slide that you had to read that talked about some of the core principles of the company. So I actually got through about 12 of the documents today. And so that was very, very useful, very beneficial. And, this is just the way you deal with this. You just have to take it one step at a time, and eventually you'll get through all of them. So I'm making good progress. Probably starting tomorrow when the shutdown starts. I'll work until the shutdown is begun, and then probably spend a bunch of time reading SOPs after that. So it's going well. I still got a long ways to go. I still got to spend some time learning that procedure that I told you about. But like I said before, I've got a strategy for that, and we'll probably start working on that during the shutdown too. The shutdown's supposed to go for about 2 weeks, but I suspect that I'm going to be able to get a lot of hours in there because it's going to be in their best interest to get me trained on all this stuff. And since most of this stuff is just sitting in a computer, reading procedures, this is the perfect time to do it. Get this non-productive time out of the way when they're repairing the machines, and then have me be able to hit the ground running when the shutdown is complete. So, that's kind of my strategy for the next week or two, or however long it takes them to get through this process. And of course, I've got the funeral coming up next week. I'm flying home on Sunday, and I'm going to be there until Wednesday, and I'm going to come back on Wednesday so that I can start back on work on Thursday. Like I said, I expect that the plant's still going to be shut down during that period, but you know what? I'll make best time of that. I'll make the best use of that time that I can, and get myself ready to hit the ground running when they start up again. Right now, in terms of writing the eulogy for my father, the writing is done. It's just in the tweaking phase now. I just got to sit there and, wordsmith it a little bit, make it flow better, read it a bunch of times, figure out how it's going to sound when I read it, and figure out where my inflections are going to be, and all of that. So that's just a matter of just reading it over and over and over again, and wordsmithing it until I get at the point where I'm really happy with it. So I am happy with how it's going right now. I was told, I didn't have to speak for much longer than 5 minutes, and I actually wrote 5 pages of text that's going to be on there. But I'm also accounting for the fact that I got really lousy vision, and so what I did is wrote it in a really big font. It's like a 24-point font, so each of the letters are like half an inch tall. So hopefully I can get up there and read it without having to have my glasses on, and that should help a lot. And so we're just going to go forward with it and see what happens. But anyway, I think that's all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.